in the steep green heights above Dartmouth, where the River Dart gleams like a silver thread weaving through South Devon's rugged embrace. The Naval College now stands on Mount Boon, a place of disciplined order and modern ambition. But centuries ago, this same promontory cradled the residence of Squire Richard Boon, a widower whose wealth was matched only by his fierce love for his only daughter, Eleanor. The tale of their bond, torn asunder by a broken promise and a vengeful spirit, lingers over Mount Boon like a storm that refuses to break. Strange happenings, unearthly bargains, and the spectral echo of a link horse haunt the grounds, whispering of a father's wrath and a daughter's doomed defiance. It was the early 18th century, a time when Dartmouth thrived on the salt and sweat of seafaring trade, and Squire Boon's manor on Mount Boon stood as a fortress of privilege overlooking the bustling port below. Richard Boon, a stern man of 50 winters, had lost his wife to childbirth 2 decades prior, leaving him with only Eleanor, his golden-haired daughter, whose laughter filled the somber halls with light. Eleanor, at 22, was the apple of his eye, but her spirited nature often clashed with his iron will. In the spring of 1715, she fell in love with James Harrowell, a dashing shipwright from Dartmouth, whose honest eyes and earnest hands won her heart. At first, Squire Boon approved the match, seeing in James a steady provider for his beloved girl. But rumors of James's debts and a whispered indiscretion with a tavern maid turned the squire's favor to disdain, and he forbade the union, extracting a solemn promise from Eleanor that she would not marry him. Heartbroken but obedient, Eleanor watched her father's health decline in the following years, his temper growing sharper as his body weakened. In the autumn of 1717, Squire Boon died of a wasting fever, his final breath a rasped plea for Eleanor to honor her vow. With his passing, the manor fell quiet, and Eleanor felt the weight of her promise lift like a shackle unlatched. Believing herself released, she wed James in a small chapel in Totnes that winter, her joy tempered by a lingering unease, as if her father's disapproving eyes still watched from beyond the grave. By the spring of 1718, the couple returned to Mount Boon, taking up residence in Eleanor's childhood home, eager to build a new life on the... But Mount Boon was not a place for new beginnings. Within weeks, strange happenings began to plague the manor. At night, unearthly noises echoed through the halls, wailing like the wind but edged with human grief, punctuated by the crash of heavy furniture overturning in locked rooms. One evening, as Eleanor and James sat by the hearth, a candelabrum flew from its stand, shattering against the wall, while flames of light, blue and cold as frost danced in the corners of their vision before vanishing. Sleep became a battlefield, their dreams invaded by the sound of hooves on unseen stone, a spectral link horse galloping through the night. Terrified, the couple fled to London in the summer of 1718, seeking respite in the clamour of the city. But the ghost followed its presence, marked by the same eerie wails and flickering flames that haunted their Soho lodgings. Desperate, Eleanor and James returned to Mount Boon in the autumn, hoping the manor's familiarity might soothe the spirit. For a brief spell, the disturbances ceased, and they dared to hope the worst was over. But one moonless night in November, the haunting resumed with a vengeance. Heavy oak tables scraped across the floors, portraits fell from walls, and the air grew thick with the scent of damp earth and decay. Recognizing the spirit as her father, Eleanor sought help from the local clergy. A vicar from St. Saviour's Church in Dartmouth arrived with holy water and prayers, attempting an exorcism in the manor's great hall. The ritual failed, the candles extinguished themselves, The Bible pages turned to ash in his hands, and a voice like thunder roared, "I will not leave." In a moment of dread clarity, the ghost of Squire Boon appeared before them, a gaunt figure in black, his eyes burning with a father's fury, his voice hollow as a crypt. He offered a bargain. He would return to his grave if Eleanor accompanied him, a vow to join him in death to appease his wrath. Eleanor, her courage born of desperation, agreed, hoping to trick the spirit. She planned to feign assent, believing folklore's loopholes might bind him. The squire's ghost vanished with a howl, the air clearing as if a storm had broken, and the manor fell silent once more. But Eleanor's triumph was short. 3 months later, in February 1719, she fell ill, a wasting sickness that mirrored her father's decline, and died in her bed at Mount Boon, her final breath a whisper of her husband's name. James buried her in the churchyard below the hill, her grave marked with a simple stone, and he left Dartmouth soon after, his heart broken by loss and haunted by guilt. The terms of the squire's bargain held a cryptic caveat. He was enjoined not to reappear until he had emptied the dart with a cockle shell, with a hole in Eton. Impossible task. Yet old folks in Dartmouth insist that Squire Boon's spirit still haunts Mount Boon, his wrath undimmed by time. On foggy nights, they claim to hear the thunder of his link horse, a spectral steed galloping across the grounds, its hooves a ghostly echo above the Naval College that now stands where the manor once rose. In 1875, a cadet named Simon Deacon swore he heard the beast near the college stables at midnight, its whinny cutting through the mist like a blade. In 1923, a groundskeeper named David Leach glimpsed a dark figure in black pacing the hilltop, vanishing as she approached, leaving only the scent of damp earth in his wake. The Naval College has modernized Mount Boon, its halls filled with the chatter of young officers, its grounds tamed by discipline. But the old-timers in Dartmouth whisper of nights when the air grows heavy and the river's song turns mournful nights when Squire Boon walks, his ghostly vigil unbroken, his daughter's defiance a wound that festers still. The cockle shell lies empty by the dart's edge, its hole a mocking promise, and the link horse gallops on, a spectral echo of a father's love turned to vengeance, binding Mount Boon to its haunted past. Many thanks for treading this tale's dark path. If its chill gripped you, follow, subscribe, and comment below.